Greetings! Yep, it's me, back again, with another episode of Band on Band. Firstly, are you enjoying this sort of more regular content? I am, but at the end of the day, I guess that doesn't really matter if I enjoy it, it's more about you. In this episode, I talked to Jordan from Gender Roles about the best band with two bass players. That's right, Crash of Rhinos. One member of a good band, talking about another good band. Don't say we don't ever deliver the goods.
Alright, we're good to go. You ready?
Yes, let's go.
Alright, so you have chosen the Derby Quintet Crash of Rhinos.
Correct, I have.
Do you want to give us a rundown of the first time that you ever heard the band?
So it was through the internet. I think this was like sort of my coming of age part two. Sort of, you know, you had the sort of 2005, 2006 Arctic Monkeys and stuff like that, which sort of kicked me off, and then I started to get more deeper into different types of music, and then I think this was my sort of emo enlightening phase.
Sure.
You know, I heard it on this forum called Dancing Jesus. Have you ever heard of it?
No.
You never heard of it?
Never heard of Dancing Jesus.
Well, that's in itself is a very like interesting story about it was one of the early internet forums where people from the music industry would come and leak albums, you know, like 3 or 4 months before their release.
Interesting.
And that was like one of the first sort of sites where that happened. But also, you know, like a lot of these things, it actually helped bands like a lot because there was a lot of influential people on there, loads of bloggers. And it was that forum was totally part of you know, the explosion of like blogs, online blogs for people finding music. Like that was totally instrumental to that one forum. So yeah, I saw that, and I was just there's like a submissions section of the forum, and like me and my dad would just be scalping it every day, just finding new music all the time.
Yeah. And
then that came up, and it was like Derby band, and then, you know, like in brackets emo or something like that. And I'd sort of always lumped in emo. I was like a big Weezer fan, so I was aware of like Pinkerton and that sort of stuff, but I wasn't aware of the more Midwest stuff. Like I hadn't heard of American football by then. And then so I clicked on this, and it was an album sampler for the first album, Distal. And I can't remember which 4 tracks. Let's have a look on my iTunes now, see what was on there.
So this must have been around 2010, 2011?
Yeah, I think it was before that. I feel like it was before my uni days, like when I found them. So I think it was like 2008, 2009 when the sampler started kicking around.
Right.
Because when did the album actually come out?
Distals came out in 2011.
2011.
So their Wikipedia.
Yeah, that sampler was about for a bit, because I know they recorded it with a dude in Italy. They recorded it live over like a week or something like that, or something even shorter than that. And it was on Toulouse-Lautrec, I think it was in Italy.
Signed to them, weren't they?
I don't know if it was the actual guy who looked after that label, if he recorded it. It was some close tie with that, and then they just went, fuck it, let's go and record the album.
Okay.
Because I think they were just from a load of like different bands, weren't they? And they'd never really played any shows before they released the album.
Right.
Yeah. No, I just looked on I couldn't see what was in the sampler. I do see that I've got some recordings that I did at the Brood once of them. That's how much of a fanboy I was.
So in 2009, 2010, 2011, you were on the internet, the days where you'd mine away an entire band's discography and then sift through it and decide if you liked it or not. And you stumbled upon Crash of Rhinos, and Distals sort of took you by force.
Yeah. It was quite a new thing for something like to hear something so like emotional, in the purest way possible. It was, you know, all the gang vocals and the guitar work is. I'd never heard anything like that sort of guitar work before, and it was so well considered. And there's 2 fucking bass players
Yeah, but that was the sort of thing that I remember first listening to them probably around when Knots came out in 2013, and I remember just sort of reading up about them and hearing that they had two bass players and thinking that was completely absurd.
Yeah.
But it's almost like one of the bass players is, I feel like maybe it changes between the two of them, but one of them is playing more traditional bass lines and the other one is more like sort of on the higher end.
Yeah, he's sort of doing some
like guitar.
Yeah, he's doing some leads, but they just make it work so perfectly. It's never muddy. Like they're obviously so aware that they don't want to muddy things up, and it just adds so much to it. But it just something about it just got me. And
I remember being taken by the way that they describe themselves as like 5 vocals, 2 guitarists, 2 bass players, and a drum kit. And being like, that is obviously the most simple way to describe your sound, but also in the way that you're saying that, quite intriguing.
Yeah, like the drummer as well. He's something else. And the album like Distal as well. I know of Distal. I'm not sure about Knots, but it was recorded live, and like you can fucking tell. And that is the perfect example of if you're in a band and you think. You're thinking about, should we record live? Like, listen to that album, and that's the best example that you're going to get of a live sort of recording, because it's so together, yet all over the place at the same time, and in that there's mistakes, but it's an amazing performance. Yeah, it adds so much, and so it's not right for every band to do it in each different scenario, but for them in that particular moment with those collection of songs that they had, bearing in mind they barely even played any shows together, and then they went and did that, like, it's insane. Like,
I find it interesting as well that they probably have like less than 20 songs in their discography, and over half of them are, more than maybe 3/4 of them are over 5 minutes long.
Yeah. That was one of the weird things when I sort of started getting into him. It was like, it's regular to be in like 6 minute plus territory for one of their songs. Like,
the moment you feel like it's coming to a close, it just hits you with a third or fourth verse. Into some sort of twiddly chorus. Emotive. They don't really seem to have choruses or anything like that. It just seems to continue in a way.
They're not. Yeah, but at the same time though, it's not post rock in that sort of, just, I don't want to say like generic, but that post rock sort of thing where it just keeps on going and going on to something else and this and that. It, like, they can have a song that's like 7 minutes odd, Crash of Rhinos, and by the end of it, you're singing the bit that you heard at the start of the song. Like, I don't know what's going on with the structures. I've never even really looked into it too much. It's just, they got a way of crafting songs like that I've never really heard in too many other bands. It's like, it's really forward thinking, and to be able for it to be like so, to have hooks and for it to be so catchy as well. Like,
it's like they're emo as hell, but they're not. They're emo as hell, but they're not like, I wouldn't put Crash of Rhinos as an emo band.
No, they're just a great guitar band. Yeah, they're just a proper great guitar band. Like,
and they're not post rock in the sense that you are sitting there for 20 minutes wondering what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
But they do have soundscapes, and they do seem to have influences in that world.
Yeah. I think one of the guitarists, I've not done my research. I've never really met the dudes properly, but one of the guitarists, I think he does that for his. I'm not sure for his main gig, but he does lots of scoring and stuff like that for films. So
interesting.
I think that's where some of their, like you said, those sort of soundscapes. I think they consider like, all the overtones, because you've got a lot of instruments there, and it's not like that each guitar, they'll swap between rhythm and lead and stuff, but a lot of the time they're both playing chords. So you've got two bassists, and then 2 guitarists, and you've got a lot of sort of brightness there, and I think they think about overtones and stuff like that a lot, and Yeah, it's and then live, it's sort of, yeah, as you can imagine, it's pretty powerful.
Yeah, and another thing that I enjoy about this band is that they don't. I was talking about Martha a couple of days ago, and that they don't shy away from their own unique accents and the fact that they are from, you know, Derby.
Hell yeah.
I think that's something that I think more people in the world need to embrace these days.
Yeah, I'm yeah, for sure. I'm big on that, and yeah, I don't know, like that's, I think, you know, that was one of the things that grabbed me, because it's, you don't hear that too much, especially when it's that sort of emotional as well. Yeah, and it's just like pure, honest, good old rock band is what they are.
Hello everyone, it's me, Connor, the host of this here podcast. This is an advert. It's not sponsored, it's just me. I'm talking to Jordan from Gender Roles, and they're going to be doing their biggest UK tour. We're talking hitting all the spots. We're talking Glasgow on the 26th of March. We're talking Newcastle on the 27th, Sheffield, Manchester, then a little bit of a break into April. We're playing Bristol on the 1st of April, Birmingham on the 2nd of April, and then the big one that I think everyone needs to come down to is playing the Dome in London on the 3rd of April. That's Gender Roles at the Dome in London, 3rd of April. Buy tickets. I don't know, it might already be sold out, so if it's sold out, we'll do this again. Anyway, back to the content.
So you're sitting there listening to this band. Do you remember the first time that you got to see them live? Do you remember where it was, the setting, the vibe of the day?
I remember first my girlfriend at the time, she went and saw him before me, and she didn't even really like him. She just knew that I loved him, and then she got me a T-shirt, and that was in Tunbridge Wells. And so I was pretty pissed off about that.
So she knew that you liked them and decided to go.
Oh well, she was like, oh, Crash of Rhinos are playing, and she was back home or something, and then she went and saw him, and I was like,
oh, right.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, fucking hell. But anyway, so and they didn't play an awful lot. They weren't like, you know, a massive band really by any stretch, and they weren't playing an awful lot, and then. There was, obviously they're from Derby, and I think they were doing a gig at the end of the year or something like that at the Victoria in Derby, and then I had a mate who was one of my best mates, Sam. He was living in Derby at uni at the time. So and then by that time I'd got all my mates into the songs as well, and they were fucking well up for it. So I just said to Sam, I was living in Brighton at the time at uni, and I just said to Sam, right, I'm gonna have to go up and see him because they're not gonna come down here. So yeah, I went up to Derby, and what did I say? I think I don't know if I messaged him or I commented. I don't know if this was like Twitter or it might have even, no, it wouldn't have been MySpace, but it might have been something like Facebook. And I said, I think I was on the train up, and I said, I'm coming up from Brighton, and then during the show, like one of them said, "Oh, is a lad from Brighton here?" And I was like, I was at the front, like 8 pints deep, just like, ah! Yeah. And then I think he said I'm mental, and I was like, yeah. Well, you know.
Yeah, mental to get the train.
Nah, but what a gig! Like, obviously, you know, it's one of them where you're singing every word. It almost can't go wrong, but like they're just like a force, and. That was the first time, and then I saw him again at Green Door Store in Brighton, probably like a couple of years later, and they were supporting a band called Rain. I think they're an Italian band. I think it's. Have you heard of them?
I've heard of Rain, R-A-I-N.
No, it's like R-E.
Reign, as in like the reign of a king or something like that.
No, it was a weird spelling, like R-E-A-I-N or something like that. Oh God, if there's anyone listening to this, that's an if. There's probably going to be someone who's calling me every name under the sun now for getting this banned. They're relatively, they're a sort of a very big sort of cult band, sort of post-hardcore stuff.
So this must have been in like around 2013, 14?
Yeah, it was before Knots. I think it was before Knots came out though.
So 2012.
Yeah, but I knew quite a lot of the songs off Knots because I'd record. I think someone recorded them on YouTube and I like bounced them to audio and just
classic.
I'd listen to them all the time. So then I went go and see him, and well, it was pretty busy, and they were like main support, and I was just watching them. I can't remember. I think I might have been on my own. Yeah, I think I was, and just came on, and I just got like crazily like emotional, like when they were playing. And I think they were playing like a couple of songs at first that I hadn't even heard, and I was just fucking crying, like full on. But you know where it's sort of like I don't know why like how this started happening. I was just sort of like really emotional, like sort of like 3 deep at the Green Door store with about 100 people there. But yeah, that was like just I've never ever had that before, apart from my first gig with my dad watching Weezer at Hammersmith Apollo that was like my first proper gig. Got a bit teary then, but yeah, apart from that, like never ever happened before. Not happened since. I'd be up for it happening. And again, to be fair, like I guess it means that you're watching. I guess it means that you're into it. Eh?
Just means that you're emotionally invested in something that you're probably never going to see again, or a time and a space that just feels right.
Yeah.
And having 3 pints usually helps.
Gets you on the way. Yeah. And when you hit that bong, woo!
So as an artist yourself, what was it that you found inspiring about Crash of Rhinos, or what it inspired? What was inspiring about that band?
Just the very, very, very playful band with everything that they do, and they don't do anything normally. They wouldn't their song structures like we said. I don't know. They're out there. So yeah, I don't know. It teaches you a lot about how you can step away from the mold in terms of like, here's the verse chorus. Oh, let's put a pre-chorus in. And then we'll play the chorus 3 times, and then we'll do a little twiddly thing at the end, and then that's it. Like they never did. I don't think you can find a Crash of Rhinos song that follows like a popular structure like that. But still, you're singing along to, like, you listen to them a couple of times, and then the words are in your head. And it's so heavy as well. Like I'd stick them on, in the van all the time if you just want to sort of get a bit of headbanging going or whatever. Like you want to just sort of blow out the cobwebs when you're stuck in the van. Like that's one of my go-to albums. Like it's it doesn't fuck about. Like it's. But again, they're obviously really playful and careful with their dynamics as well, and it's something that's considered. So, if you're going to have your heavy bits, then they're not going to be as sort of enjoyable unless you've gone down to, and you really brought the dynamics down in the song. And yeah, I don't know. There's that Gold on Red song. It's sort of on Distal that. I don't know, some of the riffs are so like, it's obviously some of the tunings that they use that it's so like melancholic but uplifting at the same time, yet they can then within the same song bring you over to like a sort of darker corner. And they managed to sort of grab you and sort of pull your emotional chords a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, totally. I feel like they were. It was interesting that you were saying about the structures of the songs. That it doesn't feel like when you're listening to any of their songs that they are writing to any structure in mind. It feels like they are 5 people that are so well musically and emotionally interconnected that they know when the song is done. Obviously, it comes, you being in a band and me working with bands, you get to know that has happened through years of listening and writing and hanging out with each other. But it never feels like any of their songs go on too long. And again, as I was saying,
it's like that.
Of them over 5 minutes long.
Like as a musician, like when you listen to that Big C, I say as a musician, but like. For anyone that's like sort of played music for any amount of time, like when you listen, like the first song on the album, and he fucks up the counting, and like you've already got you pretty much got like 90% of the band in that first like 6 seconds. Like what's going to happen. Like it's going to be like fall to the floor. Like it's fun, it's joyous, but it's heavy. It's sort of. It can be quite sad and emotional at times, but yeah, like that song, that Big C, that's got to be, yeah.
I mean, it's like it's full of like early, sort of like early adult anxieties, and so much about it is, as you were saying, uplifting in the same stroke of the brush. Like it doesn't. It seems to jump all over the place emotionally. I think through both the records. I mean, like on Knots, you've got songs like Sum of All Paths and Lucky as a Name that just seem to jump all over the place emotionally and like grab you from here and there and pull you everywhere and then spit you out at the end. And you're like, I don't know what just happened, but I think I enjoyed it.
Yeah, like
I'm going to listen to it.
I'm a big fan of Knots as well. Obviously, I'm just talking about Distal so much because that was the first one for me. So it's but yeah, no, like they're it's I mean you can really go and get into it as well. I imagine if as a bass player listening to those those two go off each other and the way that they play as well is amazing. Like me, I'm a sort of drummer first and then a guitarist. So like for me, the dude behind the kit, like he had an actual bell, like you see the dinner ladies at lunchtime, like he's got one of them, like but just hanging, like amazing, and you can hear it all over the record as well. And he's so creative and playful, but also is like so tasteful. Like he doesn't go over the top, and like. There's licks all over the place, but it's music that like can totally lend to that. So it's totally appropriate. And like we said, like when they need to get down to the like fall to the floor, just fucking riding it, like all of them, they'll all do that at the right times, like every member of the band. So they're not they're more than able to go crazy and sort of noodle out and stuff, but you don't get too much of that. It's
I'd like to see
we've got
more bands in the vein of Crash of Rhinos.
I feel fine. I mean, to me they're definitely influenced by them. I would say by listening to them. You've worked with them before, haven't you? I see that in them, and like I mean it's great to see bands that are taking that sound and they're obviously influenced by it, but I want to see where they can take it, like that. So I think I feel fine. They're a really good band, and they're one of those bands where I'm like, you could go and make your own little thing of this, because that's what it's all about, isn't it? It's no one wants to hear the same thing again. And I think they're all super, like, really good dudes.
No.
Final thoughts on Crash of Rhinos. One of the most important bands in my life. Yeah, I'd say Distal was probably one of the most important records in my.
Yeah.
Certainly in my sort of foray into sort of emo. Well, I hate fucking saying this emo stuff, because like we said, they're just a fucking sick guitar band, like that sort of end of. But after listening to Crash of Rhinos, I sort of I went and dug a little deeper into them, and then from then they got me into Algernon Cadwallader, because they played some played some shows with them.
That's a whole other story.
So then I got into them, and then from those were quite a popular band, and then you're on YouTube by that point, and you're on fucking, all your recommended videos are coming up, and so then that's when led me into sort of like bands like Midwest Pen Pals, and and then obviously just like into like
saying all the names,
the standards, American football, a bit of who's that? Like sort of band called Hey Mercedes. Yeah, like I feel like Crash Of Rhinos are a band that some dudes that would probably listen to bands like Hey Mercedes and who's the other ones? Jealous Sound, maybe. Yeah, I think that's maybe the same guy in that band.
Basically, an important gateway band for you. And
pretty much, yeah. My gateway drug
that you've ever listened to. Awesome. That's a great place to leave it.
Sick. Was that all right? Yeah. Usable.
Good job. Yes, Joe. Bloody hell.
Big thanks to Jordan for taking the time to chat to me there. As mentioned in our highly professional ad back there, Gender Roles are on tour from March the 26th to April the 3rd. You can still grab tickets now, probably. I don't know, they might have sold out, but you can try and just give it a go. Anyway, Band of Band was hosted by me, Connor Laws, and edited by my good friend and Hawaii 5-0 drum fill lover, Oscar Lydiard. Remember to subscribe or follow, rate us on iTunes, share with your friends, and just keep on keeping on. Just keep on keeping on. And tune in next week, I guess, if you like this.